T was a young man living in a small village surrounded by a rice field and thick forest. He had recently started working as a night guard, patrolling the village outskirts to keep watch over the rice fields. It was a simple job, but on his first night, one of the elders warned him to be cautious and to avoid the forest trails at all cost. "There are things in these woods," the elder said with grim expression. "Things that aren't human, things that come out only at night." The modern my guide shrugged off the warning as superstition. Story of ghosts and spirits were of children, he thought. But the elder words lingered in his mind as he began his first night shift. The air was thick with humidity, and the only sounds were the soft rustling of the leaves and the occasional chirping of insects. All was quiet, almost too quiet. Around midnight, they heard a strange sound, like a flapping noise, like the wing of a large bird. He looked around, but all he could see was a dog stretching across the rice paddies. He told himself it was probably just an owl or some other night creatures. But as he continued his rounds, a flapping grew louder, coming closer and closer to him, as if something massive was approaching. When he looked over to the fields again, he saw a shadow moving just beyond the edge of the right field. It was a tall, dark figure with something strapped into his arm. Long, wide circle, almost looked like a wing. The figure floated above the ground, swaying back and forth as it's gliding towards him, moving with an unnatural, jerky rhythm. A cold sweat broke out on the forehead as he realized what he was seeing. Krahang, the ghostly figure of a man who roams the night with the palm leaf circle thing tied to his arms, using them to fly over the fields and haunt those who dare to venture too close. Terrified, he turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest. But no matter how fast he ran, the flapping sound followed him, growing louder as the Krahang drew closer. He dared to glance over his shoulder and saw it. The spirit's pale, distorted face with an empty black eyes staring at him. Its mouth just stretched into a twisted grin. The Krahang face was marked with a patch of some sort of scar. Other than that, he kinda looked like a normal human being, just a bit scarier. It flew low to the ground, its wide palm leaf thing propelling it forward to thee, and he could hear it raspy breathing as it drew closer. Desperate to escape, thee ducked into the forest, hoping the trees would slow the Graham down. But the creature only seemed more at home among the trees, weaving through the shadows with an ease that sent chill down the spine. Panting, they stumbled upon a small shrine deep in the forest. He remembered stories his grandmother had told him about Krahang, that it was the spirit of a man who has used black magic to fly and commit terrible deeds, cursing his soul to haunt the village forever. The only way to drive it away is to perform an ancient ritual, one his grandmother has mentioned once but never actually taught him. He reached for a small offering bowl in the shrine and whispered a desperate prayer pleading for the spirit of the forest to protect him. As he finished his prayer, he grabbed a handful of dry grain from his pocket, an offering meant to pacify rainless spirits. The Krahang appeared just beyond the shrine edge, its black eyes glaring at him, its lips curling into a cruel smile. Zorie threw the rice toward the Krahang, reciting a hasty invocation he heard as a child. The spirit paused, cocking its head as if considering his offering. For a moment, they thought it was over. The Krahang seems to drift backward, its empty eyes still locked on him. But then, with a growl sound, almost like a human, it lunged forward, scattered the rice, and sending Thea sprawling on the ground. Thea scrambled onto his feet, knowing that he had one last chance to escape. He ran blindly through the forest, his only focus on reaching the edge of the village. The Krahang flapping grew fainter, but he knew it was still close, lurking somewhere in the darkness. When he finally broke through these trees, he saw a faint light of the village and collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. He glanced back and saw Krahang hovering at the forest edge, his face twisted in rage, its black eyes glowing in the moonlight. The spirit seems to be held back by some invisible force, unable to enter the village. As Thea lay there, he saw the Krahang raise its hand, pointing directly at him, its mouth forming words he couldn't hear but somehow understand. It was a warning. Thea knew that he had escaped that night, but the Krahang curse was far from over. He knew that it would be waiting, lurking around the edge of the forest, watching and waiting for the moment that he dared to stray from the village again.